Every gun collector has their own unicorn, a gun that they feel would really be an excellent addition to their collection, but for some reason or another it keeps evading them. The first time I got to handle a SIG P210, I had no idea what it was. I just knew by handling it the gun was extremely well made, felt great in the hand, machining and fit were off the chart, and it's just one of those guns that just by touching it you knew that this was a fine firearm. And this was confirmed when the owner of the gun told me to put it down, it's expensive. So to find out more about the SIG P210, I went home and did some research. The SIG P210 was developed and manufactured in Switzerland, and I know that the Swiss are known for making some very fine knives and watches, but a firearm this well thought out kind of surprised me because of their neutrality in both world wars. I did a little more digging, and the gun was developed by Charles Petter, who was Swiss but actually served with the French Foreign Legion in World War I, where he earned the rank of captain, so this guy has definitely seen some combat. The P210 served as the sidearm for the Swiss Army from 1949 until 1975, when it was replaced by the SIG P220. The P210 is also used by the Danish military and still in service at some levels today, making it nearly 60 years of continuous use. The German Federal Police also adopted the gun in 1951 following World War II. They were also commercially produced in Switzerland for the public in Europe and here in America. On both continents, the SIG P210 was overwhelmingly sought after by competitive shooters due to its legendary accuracy. When these guns initially shipped, they came with a test target from 50 meters, where they would regularly group at about 2 inches. The SIG P210 is a single-action pistol that shoots 9mm out of a single-stack magazine with a capacity of 8. It has a 120mm barrel, which converts to almost 4 3/4 inches. The first thing you notice when you pick this gun up is how slender it is and how nice it sits in your hand. If you're a fan of the 1911, this is the 9mm you've been looking for. The design of the whole gun overall is just long and lean, making it a very attractive firearm. The trigger on this gun is amazing, one of the things that I'm sure help with the accuracy. But what makes it more amazing is the gun has a magazine safety, but that seems to have no effect on the trigger like on a high power. The trigger is extremely crisp with just the slightest amount of creep and breaks like glass. One unique thing about this gun is how the slide rides on rails inside the frame and not outside like on most other semi-autos. This allows for very tight tolerances and fit without compromising reliability. Racking the slide back on a SIG P210 is something you'll never forget. It's so smooth and so tight it feels like the slide is riding on wet ice. The slide and the frame are both machined out of blocks of steel. This makes the production of the firearm expensive, along with demand overwhelming the supply. What you end up with is an unfortunately expensive firearm, whether you're hunting a new production model or a used one. Besides the price for admission, the only other two downfalls are the safety and the slide release. The safety is just extremely stiff, hard to activate, and it always scratches the frame. The slide release is just about impossible to hit with your right hand without changing grip on the gun. The SIG P210 also has a heel magazine release, which is common and typical of European firearms of this period. The SIG P210 shoots extremely well. There are, however, a few things to get used to with this unique firearm. First of all, the sights are nice target sights, but you have to remember, they are set at 50 yards at the factory, so if you have one that's never been adjusted or a fixed sight model, this can take some time to get used to. The second thing is the hammer bite. Just about everyone I know that's shot one of these gets bitten, but it's worse if you have large hands. This happens when the slide recoils back and pushes the hammer back down, all while the gun is recoiling, so the hammer can take a bite out of the web of your hand. Other than that, it's like a dream. The SIG P210 sits as well, if not better, than any other firearm in your hand. Target style sights are easy to pick up and work well. The all-steel frame almost completely absorbs the recoil of the 9mm, and we've already discussed the trigger. It's sick. I've heard it been called the most accurate 9mm ever made. I need to shoot mine some more and get a little more acquainted with it, but I can see where they are coming from. Most accurate ever made may be a stretch, but it's definitely towards the top of the list. The variant I was lucky enough to get is a SIG P210-6. This was considered the sports model. Mine has adjustable sights, and it's bead blasted before they blew it, so it's not as high polished as some of the other variants. Also, I'd like to touch on the current variant called the SIG P210 Legend. I've had the opportunity to handle one of these, and I can say that the fit and finish is comparable to the older models. SIG also has addressed some of the complaints about older variants. The Legend has a much larger beaver tail, thus preventing the hammer bite. The safety is easier to activate and has a ball bearing on the bottom to help prevent the scratching so evident on the older models. The slide release has been slightly extended, and notably the magazine release has been moved to the side, American 1911 style, making it a little more familiar. A couple of other things to note about the new Legend: they are no longer made in Switzerland. Current production has been moved to SIG's plant in Germany, and the pistols aren't really blued anymore. They have SIG's nitron coating. I know the nitron is probably tougher than the bluing, but I kind of wish these guns were blued like the originals. I wish I could say that I've shot a Legend to truly give a fair comparison of the new versus the old, but I haven't had the opportunity. In handling though, I can say that they seem very similar. This is one of the truly great service pistol designs of all time. If you get a chance, you need to shoot one of these guns, and it really doesn't matter what variant because they're all great. It's claimed to be the most accurate 9mm ever made, maybe slightly overstated, but it very well may be the most accurate 9mm service pistol of all time. This is a true example of Swiss precision. Well, this is one of my unicorns behind me. I've been trying to locate one of these at a price I can live with for a long time, and I finally got one, and I can say that it has definitely lived up to the hype. Now I can focus on the next unicorn. Like on a house.
Let's do it again. God, you're fired. Nice. God! Awesome, man. Really good.